Can my birthday go with a bang? Goggles on!
How can a robot
start a riot?
Yeah!
Oh, get out of here.
Colourful is a dump.
That's how.
It's actually awesome.
How? Brand new series, weekdays at 5:30 on CITV.
Technology,
Taliban,
Tenants.
International Hollywood government.
democracy,
deterrent, invasion,
safety,
Medals.
goals,
Troops.
Civilians.
protesters,
Party.
Palestinian,
European crown. Congress. Crisis.
sentence, housing,
Volunteers.
ventilators,
Wind.
impact, rebellions,
refugees,
Avalanches.
independent.
Independent. Independent.
Independent. Independent.
You have our word. Independent news is what we stand for.
Now, Paul Clark discusses the results of the Northern Ireland Assembly election. Here's Vote 22.
Good morning and welcome to Vote 22, this election special on UTV. The dust has settled after 2 days of counting. 239 candidates stood, 90 were elected. For some, it was a smooth road to Stormont, but for others, a bumpy end to their election journey. It's been an historic election for Northern Ireland and for Sinn Féin, now the biggest party in the Assembly. What's next for the DUP? The protocol is still centre stage. The Secretary of State urges all parties to work together. The alliance surge continues, but the SDLP and Ulster Unionists suffer losses. We'll look at those stories throughout today's programme, but first let's take a look at the state of the parties this Sunday. And the counts have been all completed. Sinn Féin have 27 seats, the DUP 25. Alliance 17, Ulster Unionists 9, 8 for the SDLP and others have 4. And there's the change in numbers from the 2017 election. Sinn Féin come back with exactly the same number of seats. The DUP have lost 3. Alliance have gained 9. Ulster Unionists have lost 1. SDLP have lost 4. Now, yesterday, the DUP leader, Sir Geoffrey Donaldson, said the ball was now on the foot of the British government regarding the protocol. So what's the plan? A short time ago, I spoke to the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, Brandon Lewis. Brandon Lewis, Sir Geoffrey Donaldson says he will not go into government unless moves are made to remove the protocol. Will you do that?
Well, look, first of all, we've been very clear. We want to get an agreement with the EU. I accept the EU at the moment. It seems they're not showing the flexibility that we need to see to get that resolution. And that's why we've said, well, look, we take nothing off the table. And if we need to take action, we will do that. But this is about everybody in Northern Ireland, to make sure businesses and consumers can have the processes that they should have to get the goods from Great Britain to Northern Ireland in the way that was always envisaged.
Will you do anything to sort the protocol?
Well, if we can't get a resolution with the European Union, if we can't see the flexibility that we need to see from them around getting these products moving, resolving the issues of the protocol, we've always said we take nothing off the table, and if we need to take action, we are prepared to do that. But obviously our first choice is to get an agreement with the EU.
When are you going to do that then?
Well, look, as I say, we're working with the EU. We've been having negotiations with them for some time now. It does seem over the last few days that we're getting word from the EU that they're not prepared to show flexibility, and that does mean we're coming to a point where we will have to make decisions. We've always said we won't take anything off the table.
When will you make that decision?
But I'm not going to set out for you here now.
When will you make that decision?
That's a matter.
When will you make that decision?
Look, I'm not going to set out a fixed timetable now. I think in terms of the negotiations with the EU and in terms of the work we're doing to look at what we need to do, if we need to take action to resolve the protocol, setting artificial timelines is never helpful. So I'm not going to do that with you, Paul.
Right. What about triggering Article 16 then?
Well, again, we've always said we take nothing off the table. Article 16 is part of the protocol. It's part of the process to resolve issues within the protocol. That is one of the options on the table. We also have to recognise Article 16 in and of itself doesn't actually resolve the issues, and that's why we've got to be clear. The first best way to deal with this is the EU to show flexibility. But if not, and we need to take action, we don't rule that out.
Why, on the eve of poll, did you suggest that you were not planning to introduce legislation which could waive elements of the protocol?
Well, that's not what I said, actually. It's worth people having a really good look at what I actually said.
I'm sorry, Brandon Lewis.
What I said...
May I just, because Robert Peston put it to you, but you were planning to announce that you will legislate. Are you going to do that? And your response was, verbatim, no, Robert, we have not said that. What we've been clear about is that at the moment, the protocol is causing problems for the Good Friday Agreement. Our duty to the people of Northern Ireland is to resolve those issues. But it's not working, is it?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's absolutely right. The point I was making was that we had not said we were going to set out legislation. What we had said, what we've always said, is we reserve the right to take action if we need to, but we want to get that resolution with the EU. Nothing had changed on that front. You're quite right. That's specifically what I said. That's not what was reported at the time. And our position hasn't changed. As I say, we don't rule out taking action if we need to take it.
Why would you say that? Why would you say that on the eve of poll here?
Well, as you've just outlined, Robert Peston asked a question. I gave a factual answer about where we are, and it is a reality. We want to get a resolution with the EU. There are problems with the protocol and how it is affecting communities across Northern Ireland. And if we can't get a resolution with the EU, we take nothing off the table. We're very clear. If we need to take action,
right,
we will.
If you get no resolution from the EU,
is the EU to show the flexibility to get an answer and get an agreement with the UK.
Will you gut the protocol in that case? If you get no agreement with the EU, will you gut it?
Well, first of all, as I say, we're focused on getting an agreement with the EU. If not, we take nothing off the table in terms of resolving the issues that are detrimentally affecting people in Northern Ireland.
But the DUP clearly believed that you were going to do just that.
Well, we've always said we take nothing off the table. If we can't get a resolution with the EU, we reserve the right, and it is right that as UK government, we look at what we would need to do to resolve the issues that are detrimentally affecting people of all communities in Northern Ireland. This is not about one party. This is about getting a resolution that works for the whole of the UK and all people in Northern Ireland.
In that case, why did the DUP believe that you actually would do it?
Well, we've always said if we need to take action, we will take action. We take nothing off the table. We've always had our clear focus on getting a resolution by agreement with the EU, but we don't take anything off the table. But
that being the case, the DUP clearly thought that you were going to go much further than that.
Well, as I say, I can only answer for the position of the UK government. The UK government's position is that we... Sorry, I can hear your producer at the same time, so I'm struggling with who I'm answering. But we've always been clear as the UK government that we will take the action we need to take if we need to do that, but we want to get a resolution with the EU. That's the best solution, but the EU need to show some flexibility to want to resolve these issues. At the moment, they're not doing that in a way that works for Northern Ireland.
How quickly do you believe we'll be able to get the executive up and running in Northern Ireland?
Well, I hope so. Look, I've been in contact with all the party leaders. I'll be meeting them again tomorrow. And I think it is important that we get the executive up and running because of those issues people want to see resolutions on that only Stormont can deal with, around the health service, around the local areas that people want to see their local MLAs focused on, and getting the money that is coming from UK government to the executive out to people in Northern Ireland. I recognise the challenges the protocol creates. It's why we want to see it resolved. But we want to see the executive up and running.
Equally, there is nothing you can do to get Sir Geoffrey Donaldson back into government if his party is against it.
Well, Sir Geoffrey has been very clear, and I've seen over the last couple of days in the media that obviously he wants to see a positive move, as he would class it, on the protocol in order to nominate. That's a matter for the DUP. I'm very clear. I think the DUP should be nominating and getting on with the business of Stormont. But equally, we as UK government do want to resolve those protocol issues for the people of Northern Ireland. As I say, this is a matter for everybody in Northern Ireland.
When can we expect movement in Northern Ireland that will give us Stormont up and running again?
Well, the party leaders, I think, are meeting each other during the course of tomorrow, and I will be meeting party leaders tomorrow. I'm hopeful that we will be able to get the party leaders to come together to nominate ministers so we can get Stormont back up and running as quickly as possible. Of course, thanks to NDNA, we have the new rules in place that give the parties those 24 weeks to work together. Ministers can stay in place even without the First or Deputy First Minister, as we saw before the elections. But the best thing for everybody is to see all those ministers nominated as quickly as possible.
A final question for you. I know that a border poll is in your gift. Is it likely within the next 5 years?
Well, look, ultimately, obviously, those decisions are a matter for the people of Northern Ireland. What's been very clear, that we've had a significant election result, I think, at two levels. First of all, obviously, we have a Sinn Féin First Minister. Sinn Féin held their seats. They haven't gained seats, but they did hold all their seats and are now First Minister. We've seen a big move, actually a big move in terms of gain of seats for the Alliance Party. Overall, the number of seats held by Unionists still outweighs the number of seats held by Nationalists, as does the vote. So, as I say, I think the focus for Stormont and for all of us at the moment is on those domestic issues, particularly where people are seeing the challenges with the cost of living, where people want to see the health service improved in Northern Ireland. And yes, I accept they want to see the protocol resolved. But they're the issues that both as UK government and for this Stormont executive we need to be focused on.
Brandon Lewis, thank you very much. And watching that, our political editor, Tracy, did we get any further movement from the Secretary of State?
None at all, Paul, no matter how many times you asked him the question. I would say if you were Sir Geoffrey Donaldson watching that interview, you would have your head in your hands, because clearly the government is not prepared to give any indication to say that they are prepared to act on the protocol, and Geoffrey Donaldson has made it very clear he's not prepared to go into government unless they do. It was very interesting when you asked him about Robert Peston's interview. He said, oh no, we didn't say that. Technically he's right, he didn't say it. There was no government minister saying at any point that they were going to take action on the protocol, but it was being reported in the papers. Journalists were being briefed that it was happening, and yet on the Wednesday evening he clearly said, oh no, we're not going to do that. More importantly, the DUP clearly believed that the government were going to do something, so largely they're high and dry.
Well, in light of what he has said, what are the implications then for Stormont?
Well, Stormont's not coming back. Sir Geoffrey Donaldson has said that he is not going to do anything in terms of reforming an executive unless action is taken on the protocol. Now, I don't think he will. I don't think he can do anything. So the simple fact is, yes, Brandon Lewis can get everybody in a room and start talking to them. But if Sir Geoffrey Donaldson says he's not going into government, he won't.
What is the view from Dublin then?
Well, I think the Irish government, very much like the UK government, will have been watching events very closely. The question is, Humpty Dumpty's fallen back off the wall again. How do they put it back together again? Interesting, the Taoiseach Leo Varadkar was asked about it, and he seemed to be playing down, if you like, the implications of the election.
You know, this election is significant, but it's important to take a bit of time maybe to analyse the significance and see what the people are saying. It's absolutely the case that Sinn Féin is now the largest party. They've had a very good election. I congratulate them on that. But it doesn't look like they've gained any seats. You know, the reason why they're the largest party is because the Unionist vote is split. So if there was a vote in the Assembly in a few weeks' time as to whether there should be a border poll, it would be defeated. That means the test in the Good Friday Agreement for having a border poll is not met. And actually fewer MLAs would vote for a border poll in the new Assembly than in the last. So it's a much more complex picture than I think Deputy MacDonald is making it out to be.
Well, that was the Taoiseach there, playing down the implications of the results of this election.
Yes, and I think that would be for two reasons. One, he's absolutely correct in what he's saying. The Nationalist vote did not overtake the Unionist vote, and also the fact that alliances made up so much ground would clearly indicate that the sentiment for a border poll is not in the majority. So I suppose technically, yes, he's absolutely right about that. And I thought it was interesting as well too that Brandon Lewis took exactly the same position, because people who are voting for alliance, they are clearly quite happy with not making any kind of an opinion on the constitutional position. So in that regard, they're absolutely right, but I think there's also a political issue going on here, because if Sinn Féin were to replicate in any way the performance in the southern elections, which are due in 2024, as they did in Northern Ireland, well, you know, that has big implications for Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. I'm sure they were swallowing hard as those results were coming in.
But looking again at the result of Northern Ireland's Assembly election, at the middle ground, you cannot ignore the expansion of that.
There has been nothing short of a political realignment of Northern Ireland politics, Paul, as a result of this election. Number one, that big headline that Sinn Féin is the biggest party here in Northern Ireland, but also too that the middle ground has made such inroads. The fact that they are now sitting with 9 more seats in the Alliance Party is absolutely phenomenal. So the implications of an election campaign that was so dull, let's be honest, have far-reaching implications.
Tracy, thank you. Well, we have more to come on the programme and we'll be hearing from the political parties, so do stay with us.